I'm back,
Hello.
baby.
Sean, I had a lot of photobombs Saturday. I was there more than the guys knew I was there in the back.
Saturday was pretty flipping incredible.
It was intense too. I don't think everyone has the full appreciation of what it is to sit there, talk, be energetic and entertaining for 7 hours. That was incredible, Ray. That was
well. Thank you for that. But the hard lifting was you and Zach and Phil, and getting involved with the customers, making sure that things went smoothly, ironing out any difficulties that popped up. I mean, it was a true team effort, and it was a pretty remarkable day. And you and I were just discussing prior to going on today. I had no idea exactly how worn out I was, but I think if I was an electric vehicle, I might have had 1% power left.
Yeah. I think you may have been at zero working on your reserves there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was an intense day. It was a lot of fun though. I had a great time at the dealership. Great time learning I can't be on my feet for 9 hours anymore.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know how you did that.
That was awful. But met so many nice people, both CarEdge people and the sales staff over there. It was really a lot of fun.
It was, and I'm sure we'll be doing more in the future.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think it went well. I know they liked us being there, so hopefully we get some more. Maybe some out in California, so my plane ride isn't quite so long.
That could be a possibility. You never know, but I've heard a rumor it might be Georgia. I don't know.
I heard that rumor too, but that's not quite as long.
No, I do know Zach has a meeting next week, so we shall see. We shall see where we're headed next.
And Ray, you haven't mentioned it yet.
Yes,
but hello, I got this for you. This one's for you.
Oh, you got a New Jersey hat.
Yeah.
Bless your heart. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear one of
those. Can you tell me what the hell do the gears mean? I don't even know what that's in reference to.
You got me.
Okay.
I think I could appreciate it if it was kind of like electrified, only because I believe Thomas Edison's laboratory was in New Jersey. I could understand that.
Yeah.
I don't know what the gears mean.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe those are the gears that work in the slot machines in the casinos.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
Oh, goodness. What the hell are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about EV charging prices. There's some pilot programs going on out there that could reduce your bill.
Yeah.
There's some stuff happening in Canada that's kind of crazy for me or to me. I will say on this note too, I flew into Newark.
Yes.
And, went out to Staten Island and then went back to Newark and flew out.
Yes.
I saw in my entire Friday, Saturday, Sunday there 3 Teslas.
That was it?
That was all I saw the entire time.
It is Staten Island.
And then I was landing in Sacramento.
Yeah, and you saw 423.
I saw 5 on the roof of the parking garage as I was coming in on the plane.
Okay.
It was, and I got out and I went into the parking garage and I just kind of went, yeah, I'm home. I'm home now. It was odd to realize the stark difference that I saw. I'm sure, look, I only went to Newark Airport, the hotel, and the dealership. I did not travel around.
And that hotel, the Hilton Garden Inn on Staten Island, that is one happening place for a 3-star hotel. I mean, there was everything going on there.
Yeah.
From Peter having a big birthday party on
Peter's 70th.
Was it? Oh my God. I needed to go in there and tell him it was only going to get worse. You know,
But on the next day, on Saturday, it was Gloria's 80th.
wow. And then there was a couple weddings, and
Yeah.
the restaurant in the hotel was incredibly packed. It was like, what the hell is, I mean, you know,
It was the
and I
most I've
remember,
seen.
yeah,
It was
and
the
I
most I've
remember
seen.
driving over to the dealership, and somebody said to me, she said, well, Staten Island doesn't look bad. I said, where do we make this right?
That's
And
true.
then,
Most of Staten Island looks a
yeah,
lot like Northern California.
well, there
All
you
the
have it.
trees and all that. I was like doing some filming, and I sent them to my friend down in Australia, who was born in Sacramento. And I said, I'm going to send you 3 videos. One of them is from Sacramento, 2 are from Staten Island. Tell me which one's which. She could
Wow.
not. She could not.
Wow.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I understand that nothing else in New York looks like that, but
Well, I'm pretty sure Manhattan doesn't.
yeah.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we are talking. I just want to bring up the story that blew my mind up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And that was British Columbia's Hydro, which
Yeah.
is the name of a charging company up there,
Okay.
has petitioned to raise their rates. Nothing weird about that, but they want to raise the EV charging rates up there, which makes sense. Inflation, they're being hit with inflation just like everybody else. So
Sure.
that wasn't the part that got me. What got me on this is up there with their chargers from this, and they're the largest one up there from BC Hydro. They charge by the minute, not the
Excuse me?
kilowatt hour.
By the minute. And let me guess, just to maximize their profits, they have nothing but slow chargers.
They haven't said, and they're like, this article doesn't get into that, and I didn't have time to look, but that was my question. So I range anywhere from my normal fast charger is a 75 kilowatt hour charge. So one of their very first level 1
Okay.
Tesla chargers. The one I can go up to Folsom, and they have a 350 kilowatt hour.
That's
charger.
a lot bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a lot bigger than 75. So you're going to tell me that if I was charging by the hour or by the minute,
Yeah.
like I would just be off my rocker. Plus, right, I'm sure you know this, but many people may not. It's the car that says how fast a vehicle can charge too. So even if I went to a 350 kilowatt hour charger, my 2020 Model 3 rear wheel drive wouldn't get that.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't be pulling that. Yeah, it's not capable. But Justin's Ioniq 5 would.
Gotcha.
So if you have a slower charging vehicle, you're penalized.
Well, yeah. And did they suggest how much per minute they wanted to charge?
Right now, they are charging anywhere from 33 to 44 cents
a minute.
A minute.
A minute.
Yeah.
And say,
to put that into perspective, I pay 29 to the highest I've ever paid is 37 cents a kilowatt hour.
Okay. But how long would you normally charge?
So I charge for 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, so let's say you charge for 15 minutes at 40 cents. So that's at 10 minutes, that would be $4. So it sounds to me like it would be $6.
Be $6, yeah.
To charge whatever charge you get in that vehicle in 15 minutes, which is probably, I'm just guessing, 3 to 4 times higher than if you were paying by the kilowatt hour itself.
Yeah, let me see, because I happen to have run my battery down quite a bit yesterday, and so I'm trying to find how much I paid last night, because I was down at like 3%.
Oh, you were down where I was on Saturday. Thank you very much.
So I was down at 3%, and I went up to 80%, and that cost me Where is it? $4.36.
And how many minutes did it take you to do that?
That took me 25 minutes because I was so low.
Okay, so it would be 3 times.
Yeah, it would be $10 if I was paying 40 cents a minute.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah.
Won't
I know
that
this
discourage
article says
people?
cents, but I
Yeah,
don't know if that's
yeah,
Canadian or.
yeah, but still, either way, I mean, wouldn't that discourage the average Canadian from wanting to go buy an EV?
So that is the point of this article. Some of the people who are pushing back against it are saying just exactly that. It's not whether it's justified to raise your price or not.
Yes.
We all understand inflation, but if what your goal is to increase EV market share, if that is what your target is, then this really throws a huge hurdle in, as we've discussed on this show many times. The rich and early adopters have already all gotten their EVs.
Yes.
So now we're in a market where you need to start appealing to the masses. And these are people with range anxiety still, who
Oh
are
yeah.
not fully educated in EVs, but then look at stuff like this and go, no, like I wouldn't, like that's too much. I don't want to do that. I mean, even you might be saving a lot versus gas anyway, but it's still, watching these things tick up, you automatically go, well, I think, as we've said on this show before, okay, once everyone is on EV, then what happens?
Well,
Then
yeah.
what do the power companies do? Once you're
Um,
captive, they kind of do the same thing that the oil companies did,
yeah,
right? Well, you're
we know what they're
captive, so
going
what
to
are you
do.
going to do?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we know everybody knows what they're going to do. When 95% of all vehicles are electric vehicles, we know exactly what the utility companies, the electric utility companies are going to do, and they're going to raise rates. And whatever the savings was that people thought they'd get because they were paying for electricity, which was so much cheaper than fossil fuels, it'll probably work out to be about the same once they get to raise the rates, because, well, it's not like you can go back to an ICE vehicle.
yeah, and there is some pushback on that theory that we've gotten a couple times of, well, electricity is far more regulated, and a lot of them's municipalities, and they're not allowed to be for profit.
Hmm.
Though I had suspicions about that. All you have to do is siphon more money off and say, look, no profit.
Yes, they'll
So
figure it out.
yeah, that's
We had to build up our ability to produce more electricity. The infrastructure, the cost to add the infrastructure to be able to ship more electricity, has gone up. Yeah, they'll
yeah.
find. Yeah, come on. I mean, let's be realistic. This is how the world works, especially with monopolies.
Yeah. Well, that, look, we've all said that, we had that discussion. I'm in an apartment complex. You're in a condo. We've had this discussion about cable television and internet, right?
Yes.
Because you tried to go to a wireless internet, but on your wired internet, do you have any choices, or do you have your choices
No.
this or nothing?
My choice is Xfinity if I want wired internet, or nothing.
Yeah.
And when I tried the other, I lasted what, 6 days, 7 days. I did have a full
Yeah.
30-day. I had a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, and I didn't need all 30 days to know I wasn't going to be satisfied. So yeah, if you're in an older building like I am, which is a 50-year-old building or 52-year-old building, and Xfinity doesn't want to rewire the building because they don't want to incur the expense. Yeah, you're really limited, and Verizon doesn't have FiOS down here. There's no one
Yeah.
else to go to, and the really interesting point is believe it or not, the first cable market in the country was the Atlantic City area. Okay, because Atlantic City was close enough to New York. If you had a big antenna, you could get New York stations. You were close enough to Philadelphia that you could get Philadelphia stations. And a former governor, Milton Shapp, had a cable business that was able to. They produced the gizmos that kept pushing the signal, keeping it strong. And the Atlantic City area was the first part of the country that had this type of service. It kind of grew,
Yeah, a
to
little bit.
where like every place in the country has this service. And so, when you think about that, and then Verizon has no FiOS down here, which just absolutely shocks me. And so they're trying to do the 5G home internet, and we know how well that worked for me.
Yeah.
It didn't. I would much prefer FiOS. I've had it in the past, but you can't have what's not available.
I was always surprised. Do you know where the country's first gigabit internet, fiber internet was?
No,
Kansas City.
really.
Yeah. And they're still some of the fastest over there. They built that out first. And I guess there's a lot of internet hubs down there.
Hmm.
But it was odd to see that was the testing hub.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, it was. I was really surprised. Still doesn't make me want to live in Kansas City. Although Jennifer pushes that over, I could go live
Well,
near Jennifer.
well,
That would be nice.
and my understanding is they have a pretty good football team. So, I mean, if you're into football,
Yeah.
might not be a bad place to live. But I hear the winters can get a tad chilly.
Yeah. Yep. That's you know me. No snow. Wherever I move to, it's not gonna be snow. JMac, I also would have expected it to be
Yeah.
Palo Alto, home of Google, Apple, and everybody else.
Yes. Isn't that where HP started?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. As well. Yeah. It's
Wow.
where Steve Jobs has lived, and I would have I definitely would have expected at least something in Northern California, not all the way out in Kansas City.
Yeah. No.
That always that was weird.
And nobody in their right mind would have ever expected that Atlantic City would have been the first place in the country that had some type of cable TV.
Well, but as you mentioned at the top of the show, that is where Edison had his
Yeah, but not in
shop.
Atlantic City.
No, but well,
I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that Edison, New Jersey, might be named after Thomas Edison. I could be wrong. I don't know that for a fact, but I know he sure as hell didn't have his laboratories here in the Atlantic City area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I do know.
But I'm just saying, you guys had tech before,
Yeah.
California existed.
Apparently.
And then California came along and said, we'll take it all.
You know that one of the other articles you sent me that I thought was really interesting was what is it? Electrify America is now going to advertise like gas stations do to let you know what the current rates are, so that I guess you'll be able to drive around town and try and find a competing charging station that's a couple cents less per kilowatt hour.
A couple cents. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah. So they're going to have the sort of sign. They want to do the signs and they want to brand it like a gas station. So actually say, Electrify America, and sort of this thing that we've talked about so many times before of there's a lot of stations out there that people just don't know exist. So this will help like raise that profile. Right now, they just have a flat rate at all stations, but then it'll be station specific, and you'll be able to look up on the app if you're a modern Stone Age person and not have to drive around for it. But Ray, what blew me away is today the company Electrify America
Yeah.
charges a set rate of 48 cents per kilowatt hour.
Isn't that like higher than everybody
What
else?
the?
Yeah.
I have never paid more than 37 cents ever. Ever. Most of the time it's 29 cents a kilowatt hour. I went, what? Like, that's just incredible. I mean, it's still not a ton, but
Hmm.
it is a substantial increase over the 37 cents I pay.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Well,
It's a 30% increase.
they want to be profitable.
Yeah, well, yeah. And,
Yeah.
in fair, that's kind of what I get. And the Tesla model works because it's Tesla doing it, and you're buying their car and everything else. But you're right. I mean, it is going to have to be. These companies are going to have to make money.
Yes.
Period.
Yes. And the Tesla model works, if I may, because the damn chargers work.
Yeah.
Where at Electrify America, not so much. What is it? The Tesla chargers, like 95-98% of them work.
98% uptime. Yeah.
Okay, and at Electrify America, they would probably be glad to hit 75%.
Yeah, they're not even close. Last time Justin ran the numbers, they were in the 60s, and that was just insane. That. So I mean, and this is what we've talked about with the Inflation Reduction Act and the building out the infrastructures. Who are you getting to build them? Because I don't want the build of a company that can't keep the chargers up.
If they can't
there's
maintain
no future
them,
there.
yeah. If they can't maintain them, then why? I understand they need to be profitable, but they can't be profitable if they can't maintain them, and it's just it'll be like a vicious circle.
It will be. So to your point, like I've seen some TikTok videos and stuff, and of course the TikTok video is not conducive of all vehicles. It is not an
Hmm.
accurate representation of statistics. However, there are people who've gone up to these chargers and they get there, and the one video I watched, there were 5 chargers. One of them was taken, 2 of them were broken, or no, 3 of them were broken. There was only one open charger.
So 40% of the chargers worked.
Yeah.
If there were 5 chargers, 2 worked, 3 didn't. That's not a very good percentage.
No, and
Although
if you're at a supercharger, you're probably on a road trip or don't own a house, so you really need this.
yes,
This isn't just I'm tootling around and I need to. You probably really need the charger. These things need to be up more.
well, how is it? And I'm not necessarily a Tesla fanboy. You are.
No,
I'm not. But how is it that Tesla can maintain their charging stations, and Electrify America cannot? Is it merely a business decision, a choice that's made at the top?
So Tesla does, because Justin, we did a show way back when it was Justin, and he talked to a Tesla engineer, maintenance worker,
Mhm.
and what he basically said is they go out and do preventive maintenance on the stations all the time. They even have internal things so they have like double or triple redundancies. So
Yeah.
when the first one goes down, they're out. They go out there. You still have 2 more redundancies. So like if it takes them a day or 2 to get out there, it's still working.
Yeah.
Where Electrify America waits for it to go down before they send somebody out.
They don't necessarily believe in preventative maintenance. They believe in reactive maintenance.
Yeah, that seems to be at least the way it was explained to Justin. That's kind of like the main difference is it's just getting somebody out there when it breaks. So if that means there's several that break, and I got to say they're electronic. They probably have components that go down, whether it's a software issue or hardware issue, probably all the time.
Yeah.
But if you're waiting to go out until you get notice that it's broken, and it takes you 2 or 3 days because you have a log of things to get there, then you're just sitting there and you're not getting money on those charging stations.
Yeah,
So it
there's
seems to me you'd be much better off with making sure they're always up and running.
So if I just heard you correctly, the return on investment on charging stations that are inoperable isn't nearly as good as the return on investment of the charging stations that actually work.
Yeah, and you would think all these companies need to sort of jump in there, and that's where I can't remember the name of that new company that all the car makers are going in on to build their charging station to challenge Tesla. But I sure hope they're taking note of things like this and going, well, we can't do that.
Yeah,
we can't be that. We need to be up, 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 up. And I think maybe if more OEMs are involved, or though they're used to nickel and diming, so maybe they'll be like, get people out there.
You just said something, at least to me, that's interesting. Maybe if the OEMs are involved. Okay, I can think of several OEMs that when it comes to their quality control, they wait to find out what happens to their vehicles, and they're waiting for their customers to tell them. So, and I'm not naming any names at the moment.
No.
Okay. And because one of the major legacy automobile manufacturers said, yes, we depend a lot on social media to hear from our customers about issues that they're having. So if that's the way many of the OEMs treat the products that they sell, why would it be any different as to how they would treat their charging networks?
Well, so that just, you knew this was going to happen. That reminds me of a movie I saw, Ray.
Okay.
It was called Class Action, with Mary Elizabeth Mastriano and Gene Hackman and Lawrence Fishburne. A great movie from the 80s. If you haven't seen it. I was going to say,
they were all young when you saw that movie.
Yes. But great movie about kind of that thing. There's a vehicle called the Meridian, and there's this thing that happens where if the left blinker is on, a car is hit from behind, it explodes.
Wow.
Now the OEM knew about that.
Yes.
And then they get the accountants and everybody, well, they call them bean counters, involved, and they calculate how many times that would happen, how much the settlements might be to people who would want to sue, and whether you should fix it or whether you should just pay out the settlements.
And it was cheaper to pay out the settlements.
And it was cheaper to pay out the settlements than it was to fix the issue. And I don't think things have changed much from then. So when they say we look at social media, I always kind of go, you look at social media to see if people are figuring out that this, because I don't believe that any of these OEMs on kind of some of these more serious issues that they don't know. Their engineers know. They're not stupid people.
Know.
These engineers know. Just the bean counters have figured out, okay, well, it's going to happen so little, don't worry about it. We'll just deal with the lawsuits when they come up. And then now they look at social media and it's like, okay, how many times does it have to appear on social media before you go, okay, maybe we should do something about it? Like there's this calculation involved in all that is kind of grotesque. But I don't believe that they don't know. My point is, I don't believe they don't know about them before the car hits the road. I do think they know.
Well, I'm sure in a lot of cases they suspect what issues might crop up from what they've heard from their engineers, but they want to get real world miles on the vehicles to find out if that's actually the case. And
yes,
and so it's cheaper for them to do it that way than to actually say, oh, based on what our engineers are saying, if we spent $3.17 more per clip, we probably wouldn't have this issue at all. But over a million cars, that's a lot of money. Let's just see what happens. And wouldn't it be nice if the companies were committed to excellence and doing it right, as opposed to doing it wrong and saying, okay, well, we're saving money.
Yeah, I agree with Bob here. It's not a holdup; it's a science experiment. Let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens, and then we'll see if we need to address it or not. But I mean, look, Ford has how many recalls going on?
Well, they lead the league. I think that was 30. The last time we checked, it was 37. They were 8 ahead of Stellantis, but they were several million cars impacted ahead of Stellantis.
Yeah. So, and unlike most of the EV stuff, those aren't all like software fixes, right?
No,
You have to.
no.
A lot of those are actual real ones. So, which I know Tesla keeps pushing that they need to take soft things that can be fixed over software update off the name recall. Like
Yes.
it's not a recall list. And I agree that should sort of have some sort of different name, because when you hear recall, you're thinking, okay, I got to get it to the garage.
Yes,
They got to
yes.
get it. They got to order parts, and they got to make this fix. Rather than like Lucid just had 3 recalls.
Yeah.
Like 2 of them, the 2 most serious ones, ironically, were just over the air updates.
Yeah. And the beauty of when Lucid has a recall is there's so few cars that it actually impacts.
Hey, it was 693 vehicles. That's almost their entire fleet, right?
Pretty.
That's almost
pretty
the
close.
entire fleet.
Yeah. So that's about half of what they deliver in a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's crazy, but they actually have one physical recall with the windshield wiper, but the biggest one for them was they were having where the vehicle can lose power.
Well, that's a problem.
Yeah, but they fixed it with a software update. And like,
Okay.
I feel like there's some of these things that maybe computer engineers need to be pushed a little harder to test these things.
Yes.
If your vehicle can lose power while you're driving, and it's a software patch, I feel like you didn't develop your software well enough.
Well, I'll share a story with you about. Oh, I guess this must have been in the 70s, 60s. I don't know. Rambler and AMC were still like car companies, and they produced a car called the Hornet. And my father, who had been a dentist but gave up dentistry to go into the vending machine business, I worked for him, and I drove around filling vending machines, and I had a green Hornet. Now, it wasn't like a supercar because in the summer,
wasn't like the TV show.
No, it wasn't. It'd be like in the summer when I was driving around the Philadelphia region, and it was an automatic transmission, and and the air conditioning was on, and I would make a left turn. Okay. The car would stall in the middle of the turn. That's the ultimate in losing power. It just shuts the hell off. Okay. I got real good at being able to shift it in the neutral real quick and turn the key again to start it back up and then drop it back into drive. Either that or my days got longer and I made nothing but right turns. But now that's a mechanical issue that they couldn't figure out how to solve. That could be one reason why AMC doesn't exist today. I don't know. There are issues when vehicles lose power. I can tell you.
Yeah. There are, and if you can fix it through a software update, that's better. I'll agree. Then, in the days when there wasn't software and it was losing power, that's kind of a much bigger deal. And we had some stuff about the Pinto in here too.
Mm-hmm.
And is it was it really just a bolt in the Pinto? I thought the placement of the gas tank had something to
It
do
was the
with it.
placement of the gas tank and that bolt, so that if it got hit in the rear, the bolt would pierce the gas tank.
Okay, is that
Yeah.
yeah?
Yes.
So
And that was why all the smart Ford dealers were giving out free asbestos driving suits with every Pinto purchased.
okay, yeah.
It's a good thing I didn't work for a Ford dealer back then. Yes.
So Igor says he still sees AMCs at classic auctions, and they bring a pretty penny.
There were some there were AMCs and Ramblers before they became AMC. That were that they made some cars that were years, I mean years ahead of their time. Um, they made the Metropolitan, which was a small convertible. A small, because they were making they were making small cars, almost like Mini, maybe not quite that small. And and I forget what the name of the other one was, but it was like a big round bowl that you were driving. I had one of those too, because my father, for whatever reason, he liked the AMC and Rambler products. Well, that's because a good friend of his owned a Rambler dealership. But yeah, they came out with, they were years and years ahead of their time. I think they understood that at a certain point, cars really wouldn't have to be giant sized. If they would have never been able to remain in business in this kind, and they didn't, because they did own Jeep at one time.
Well, but here we are again, right? Like the best-selling vehicles are what? Trucks and SUVs.
Giant ass vehicles.
We're back to the giant vehicles.
Yes.
Just my only complaint is no fins. We don't have any fins anymore. I happen to love the fins.
Well, some of those cars were really interesting to look at.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some of them were very ugly, but I liked a lot of them.
Yes. Well, it's getting pretty close to my lunchtime, I must say.
It's almost time for my meeting too.
Okay.
So we will be back here tomorrow talking about something. I don't remember.
You have, I saved the email, so I'll be.
I know I did it ahead of time. I did the whole week ahead of time this time.
You did.
But,
yeah, I'm very pleased and proud of that. Yes. Because it
but
makes my life easier a little bit when we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, mine too, actually.
Yeah.
Mine too. Sometimes it's hard when I have 40 minutes to figure out what we're going to talk about.
I hear you.
So we'll see everybody.
Oh, that's it. It was the Gremlin. The Gremlin.
Oh,
yes, that was yes. I had a Gremlin. Absolutely, yes. Yes.
That's one of Kimberly's favorite cars.
I'm telling you, they really made some rather unusual cars, but that's besides the point.
Also, good movie, Gremlins.
Yes, I haven't seen it myself, but
you haven't seen Gremlins. I think you missed the boat. I think it's a bit like a 40-year-old movie now.
What was that Steven Spielberg movie? Phone Home. What was that?
E.T.
I still haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll bring some DVDs to Detroit, and we're gonna have to catch Ray up.
We're gonna have movie night.
Yeah,
movie night in the Motor City, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Have a nice lunch, Ray. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you all back here tomorrow.